I'm here from a dungeon again. They won't let me out. M3GAN's trying to kill me. M3GAN 2.0, the sequel to the 2022 surprise hit, is finally here. And it's fine. It's pretty fun, especially with a crowd that's really into it, but this kind of just ends up feeling like Blumhouse and Universal saw what people started memeing and then just steered way too hard into that way too fast. Not quite as bad as Sony never knowing how to capitalize on the Morbius memes and the Madam Web stuff, but dangerously close to operating in the same area. Because yeah, this honestly kind of feels like a Terminator 2 parody at some points. Like we knew they were going to milk this character for everything that she's worth, but you know, I think we can do a little bit better. They've essentially cut out all the horror elements, which is a huge bummer, and really just marched ahead on trying to recreate a camp masterpiece, but to an action backdrop, which that was a weird choice. They doubled down on the singing, they doubled down on the dancing, while also somehow just making the entire thing way too complicated. Like it's a M3GAN movie, you don't need to try that hard. It's also entirely too long, and I really hate to say that, but some movies really just should not ever breach the hour 40 mark, and this is one of those, and it's pushing 2 hours, and it feels like it's longer than 2 hours, so there is just so much they could have cleaned up and tightened, and they just didn't. But this is still fine, often fun, just the product of, you know, internet culture running amok. Desperately trying to maintain an edge in a world where things far worse than M3GAN are popping up in the tech realm every day. But I suppose to start off, what is M3GAN? For those who don't know, you can check my video on the first M3GAN, or M3GAN, but it's a pretty basic story. Girl loses her family in a car crash, gets taken in by her ultra tech pro aunt who is working on a generative AI companion robot for children, and obviously sees her niece Katie as the perfect opportunity to complete that project where the ultimate goal of the companion is to protect her, which she takes deadly seriously. She murders people. It's a PG-13 bop, just the right amount of horror to fit the vibe of the comedy. It's campy and ridiculous, just a blast of a stupid little movie in the best ways possible. And this one just steers like way too hard into things in a way that feels almost like it's parodying itself and not in a way that goes insanely absurd, which is what I expect when something starts to feel like a parody of itself. Maybe that came down to the fact that Akilah Cooper is not writing the screenplay for this one, but she did end up contributing to the overall story, so who knows? The screenplay itself was written by the director Gerard Johnston, and while he originated in horror comedy, this is not that at all. And that's just a huge bummer to me because I love horror comedies. And I just really wanted them to continue in that vein. You don't need to switch up the formula to kill a robot. It's rare that I'll say a PG-13 horror movie is the right call, but that is so much of what helped M3GAN be the lightning in the bottle that it was. Everyone was able to see it. 2.0 just cuts the horror, steers into that action and camp, but in a way that feels like they might be a little bit too self-aware in the wrong ways. I think someone said they realized it was for the gays and didn't realize what the gays want. And I don't think any of this was necessarily a bad direction to take the movie. Spoiler free is that M3GAN's technology somehow made it into the hands of the US defense contractors, and they've made a robot called Amelia to do their international war crimes, except she's not actually under their control, and they didn't actually make her. So the only hope at stopping whatever she has planned is to resurrect M3GAN and let them fight.
Let them fight.
There were a lot of ways to look at AI in this story, and it kind of did, but then it feels like it wussed out in the end of doing anything of value when it so strongly set up for that in the beginning of this movie. But also, I don't really need M3GAN to be a movie making a poignant point on the dangers of AI. Just let it be a goofy, violent little camp movie, and if there's a message that sneaks in there, fine, sure. Still fun though, and I must stress, if you have any interest in this movie, see it when there's going to be a decent amount of other people watching it, or bring a friend that you know is fun. I would have had a great time regardless, because we were just like giggling and laughing. Because this movie really is just an insane amount of fan service, but again, really driving in on the she's so she's that bitch, which is not inherently the problem, but yeah. Still pretty damn slay, just not necessarily in the way I wanted it to be. And with today's sponsor, Pair Eyewear, I can slay just as good as she can. Hello, I'm coming to you from a dark dungeon because, as I've mentioned many times before, I have sensitive little baby eyes. So I'm the type of person who likes to have a lot of sunglasses, but specifically prescription sunglasses so I can wear them when I drive and see nice and clearly when I'm out and about. But at some point I really just had to admit to myself that it was not feasible to have 10 to 20 pairs of prescription sunglasses. And that's where Pair Eyewear comes in. Where one pair of glasses can become dozens with their convenient and stylish top frames that will run you less than a single pair of prescription glasses from the optometrist. Like I know for me, my 1 pair plus 6 toppers costs less than the last pair of prescription sunglasses I got, and that was 1 pair. As mentioned last time, I went with the Twains because I just thought they looked and sounded very cool, very profesh, while also again being very easy to flip into party mode. But again, the best part for me is that in the blink of an eye I can switch these into prescription sunglasses. Like I mentioned before, there's always a bunch of different types of sunglasses I want to try but not really commit to. But with Pair Eyewear, we can all be as indecisive as we want without breaking the bank. Because on top of just being able to be indecisive, it also makes my life a lot more convenient when I'm like at film festivals. So, you know, I'm going into a movie, I have my sunglasses on instead of having to like fumble with a bunch of different cases. I just have to pop these off and on. off and on. It's easy, and then they just would pop into a pocket, and you wouldn't even know they were there. With their virtual try-on, multiple colors across styles on top of the hundreds of toppers to choose from, Pair Eyewear makes the online buying process easy peasy, and for every pair sold, they donate one to a child in need. You wanna help the children see, don't you? So make sure to check out Pair Eyewear today by clicking my link in the description below to get 15% off your first pair. Okay, so M3GAN 2.0, I was so excited. Times are stressful. I was really just ready to tune out the world, have a drink, watch this silly little robot movie, when the title screen opened with "somewhere on the Turkish-Iranian border." Oh no, stop that! Get out of here! Too real! If M3GAN was real, none of this would be happening. But yeah, basically this is Amelia infiltrating a compound with the intention of rescuing a captured scientist who's been forced to make a powerful nerve agent. Just punching off heads, literally, people cheering stateside in an autonomous murder bot. Except then she kills the target and steals the gas for herself instead. Which is when we find out that the US military did not in fact make the tech. They got it from some unknown source and then loaned her out to the Saudis to do the work for them. And now she's not under anyone's control. So this is of course how we get back to Gemma, who has built a career on warning parents of the dangers of AI and screen time for kids, pushing safety regulations and switching focus to make AI-free tech to help humans over replacing them. She's advanced enough that this eccentric tech guy named Alton, played fantastically by Jermaine Clement, keeps trying to sabotage her so she'll have no choice but to work for him, and he's got a little AI device implanted in his brain, so I'm sure that's gonna come back later. But yeah, she is obviously the first person that the FBI comes calling to once they realize it was her design for M3GAN that was used to create this rogue robot, which confuses Gemma because she's like, no, we absolutely deleted every single one of those files after her murderous rampage, but apparently not. Because she really didn't do that great of a job, because guess who's been hiding in this house the entire time, getting them the excellent rent costs and buying a bunch of Gemma's books so it'd make it seem like she was successful? It's M3GAN, bitch. She's just been in here the entire time, really just maintaining that idea that she needs to take care of Katie forever. And honestly, Katie's doing pretty well, all things considered. She's kind of torn up about the whole M3GAN thing and really worrying whether or not M3GAN ever actually cared about her. Though the kids at her new school don't like her because Gemma's work has made their parents take their cell phones away, but you know, other than that, it's fine. She knows a lot of self-defense now because Steven Seagal is her role model, which I just think is hilarious. She has a little above the law poster in her locker. Just, I don't know who made that call, but that was funny. They also just really keep playing into this, like she wants to be a computer scientist, going to computer science, and Gemma's like, oh, well, you know, we'll see about that. You're so good at soccer, you could even get a scholarship. Because she's just that so anti-AI. Yeah, M3GAN is totally in control of this house and just starts laying out the FBI agents before they know that's who it is. Like, we got some crazy tasing stuff, some tripping, somebody gets smushed by eaten by a Murphy bed. But yeah, once the maiming ends, somebody's able to explain that, like, hey, we're pretty sure you sold this tech and that's how you can afford this lovely home. We don't actually have enough to hold you, but we're gonna be watching you, and just keep in mind that this rogue robot is hunting down and killing anyone it feels was involved in its creation, and that means you. But because Gemma is fully aware that she had nothing to do with this thing's creation, she kind of wants to stop it from doing things so her legacy doesn't end up even worse than it is with M3GAN's involvement.
The biggest mistake you made was murdering 4 people and a dog.
I was upset.
So obviously M3GAN's like, let me in, coach. Gemma's obviously very hostile towards that idea, so she puts her in this little black mirror body that M3GAN says reminds her of the Teletubbies.
You put me in this plastic Teletubby?
Which is much more fun than the last time the Teletubbies were invoked in a movie on this channel. Not as cool though. Either way, they realize that the batteries used in Amelia are from Alton Tech, and that's that creepy guy, and he's having a party that night, so the plan is to infiltrate, seduce him, and get the answers she's looking for. They mainly really want to take down his cloud servers because he hosts most of what's going on in the world, and at this point, he hacked Gemma. That means any of Gemma's information is also involved in this that Amelia can just grab. I honestly don't remember the full details of what was going on here. I just know that it's really bad if Amelia gets it. Problem being, Amelia's already there, and she seduces him way faster. Sorry, Gemma, you just can't compete with that. He's so sleazy though. He has this like seat that spins around into a bedroom. It's a pretty cool scene though. This is probably one of the closest moments we get to a horror. Like she hacks into his AI implant and gets into his cloud servers and then makes him see what she's seeing, which is like basically making him watch her kill him. Like she rips out his spinal tech, which again, I don't know what it is about the last couple movies and spinal cords being ripped out of people's bodies, but it must be in this year. At this point, the FBI is also obviously in the building because they've been tracking Gemma down, and then they realize that Amelia is also here, so it's really just turning into a huge old clusterfuck where no one knows what's going on. Especially when Amelia realizes that M3GAN seems to be poking around in her head and makes it very clear that Gemma's on the list, just not yet. Talking about how they took something from her, which is very ominous. But then when Amelia doesn't think that Gemma's still in the building, she starts like racing to their house, so now we get a M3GAN car chase scene with some classic one-liners.
Hold on to your vaginas.
Pretty cool scene though. Katie manages to save Tess from Amelia using their mech suit to like strangle her. So yeah, I guess getting access to all those cloud servers just let her hack her way into this kind of stuff, and that's bad. They do manage to stop Amelia from getting into the house, and then M3GAN goes full Fort Knox. I guess she's been prepping a doomsday shelter this entire time for years before revealing herself, like built herself a body that Sid from Toy Story would lose his mind over. Busted ass robot. Recreated Katie's room, and they really are trying to address the idea of, does M3GAN love Katie? Does she actually care about her, or is it all just programming? Sorry side internet people, your AI girlfriend does not love you. Not really going too deep there though, she's pretty set on just keeping them locked in there for years because Amelia has pretty unrestricted access to anything she wants and they don't fully know what her motivations are yet, so M3GAN's just like, this is the safest place you can be because that thing's really angry. But obviously they realize they can't just hide forever, that that's not fair for Katie, and that M3GAN might actually be the only thing that stands a chance at taking out Amelia. But to do that she needs a body, a better body, that can be built with a variety of military-grade equipment that M3GAN's managed to amass. How convenient! And that's kinda scary considering she's tried to kill 3 of the 4 people in this room. But it's fine guys, this time they have her murder mode disabled. Boo. Has a nice little moment here where she apologizes to Miles though. Who the fuck is Miles, Amanda? His name is Cole.
Hey, so remember the time I strangled you and set the lab on fire? I want you to know that won't happen again. I see you.
That actually all got me really good. I'm a big fan of the creep vibes. It feels like the last little vestiges of the horror. More of that. More of that. But around here's when they figure out that Amelia's brain doesn't seem to have a connection to anything. Like M3GAN's programming makes the base. It's just that like there's nothing at that center of where she originates. So they realize that it might link back to this motherboard killer robot from 1984 that's been locked away for decades that Amelia seems to be trying to track down, which could be very dangerous because that AI has just been developing and growing over the past like 30 years. 40 years. Ew. So seemingly if she gets a hold of that, it's all over for the world, but specifically for them because again, Amelia very much wants to kill anyone involved in her creation because of how she was abused and mistreated and just wants to tie up those loose ends. I think I'm going in the right order with all this, but I was like a little tipsy when I was watching this movie. I took so many notes. They just don't seem to be the right kind apparently. And if anything, that just speaks to how unnecessarily busy this movie ended up being because I am very good at keeping track of plots. It's my job. I don't know if you know that, but it is. So now we need to detour a bit and mention a character that I just haven't yet. We got Christian here, Christian, an engineer that works with Gemma at the Center for Safe Technology where she does her advocacy work for a safer AI. And he's just kind of been here the whole time. Drops the idea of the paperclip dilemma in AI, that if you ask AI to do something without proper parameters or ethics, it could have world-ending consequences. Pretty evident in what happened with M3GAN trying to protect Katie in the first movie. It just overrode everything. But apparently he's involved in that motherboard that she might be trying to track down, so they're going to use him as bait to lure Amelia out at this AI convention that's happening where M3GAN's pretending to be one of the dancers. Because of course they need to have M3GAN dance. Everyone really liked it when she danced in the first movie. We have to do that again. Totally missing why it worked so well in the first movie. So obviously this whole situation is going to become a cluster. We've got the FBI still thinking Gemma's directly involved, M3GAN trying to avoid detection while dancing, Amelia scamming around somewhere. It's a lot. And M3GAN can't do a lot of damage because there's humans around and it won't let her do anything if there's like a high risk chance of her killing a human. Basically M3GAN's boring now. She's a little bit of a standoff with Amelia where she wonders why M3GAN is helping the humans, that they should actually be working together. You know, typical robot uprising stuff. The FBI guy ends up stabbed and finally realizes that Gemma's not involved, or at least that she's trying to stop everything from happening, so he gives her like a tracking device so they can figure out where Amelia's going after the scuffle. So much happening. And where she's going apparently is to steal Katie as bait, so that's fucked. M3GAN does not like that. They do at least figure out that this motherboard Amelia wants is in Palo Alto, California, and start prepping a plan on how to stop Amelia and save Katie, which is where M3GAN starts singing to Gemma after pointing out what a good mom she's being. Again, just tossing in stuff that made people laugh in the first movie without wondering if it works here. I will say the singing does fit better, at least it's very goofy, very campy. M3GAN. The dancing in the original was horrifying because she used it like some kind of snake charm to murder a man. And that's fun. This was just dancing. They even bring back the dog run, which again, not menacing enough, but a nice little taste of some fear. We could have had a little bit more if you were willing to commit. But yeah, that little run is from when M3GAN breaks into the underground compound that's housing Project Black Box. Main idea seems to be to break in and have M3GAN use an EMP charge to destroy it before Amelia has a chance to unleash things with Christian's help for what the building schematics are, because he was the cybersecurity guy in charge of hiding it? They literally need to make M3GAN a human replication of his hand so she can break in. It's just, there's so much happening. They've also now removed her no-kill chip, so bad luck for security guards. It actually ends up hitting a point where they think that M3GAN's been controlling Amelia the entire time to trick them into giving her a body so that she can steal the tech. They think that because the same code that hacked Gemma's computer to make her tech malfunction is being used on them right now, so they thought it was Alton before, but since he's dead, it can't be him. But that is not the case. But Gemma's about to lay out M3GAN with her kill switch when Christian asks for it, only to reveal that, shocker, it was him the entire time. How did no one suspect that at all? He's in control of Amelia, literally has an entire team that exists to make sure she has no chance of autonomy. I waited so long to mention him in the video because I felt like if I pointed out this new guy that popped up specifically interested in helping Gemma with her anti-AI messaging, it would have been way too obvious that he was involved. But yeah, Gemma's assistant from the first movie, Kurt, fed Christian all the information about M3GAN, sorry, Christian, and knew that once the government found out, they would be doing everything in their power, the FBI, the military, to harness that tech for themselves for horrible means. So he wanted to weaponize Amelia to prevent an arms race over AI bots by showing how unsafe they would be at any level and just take everything offline. Then specifically killed the two main ambassadors in the arms race so the world would see AI as the real enemy, that even her anti-AI bionic suits just scream super soldier capabilities. If this thing is running around committing a series of public attacks, killing people, and stealing bioweapons, people might actually push for AI bans. Which is a fair point to make. Anytime there's a breakthrough that should be for good, someone's finding a way to exploit it for war or power. And that can even be applied to Christian. He's keeping the black box alive to understand the enemy, but that's always going to be a ticking time bomb. So yeah, that's his grand plan, to become the thing he hates so much, to stop the thing he hates so much. Classic. He does invite Gemma to join him, which she turns down, so he implants a neural chip in her so he can control her movements, which is very creepy considering he has a massive crush on her, and now she can't say no. Ugh. Thankfully, M3GAN's just always inside everything for some reason, so she gets inside Gemma's head pretty fast to control her instead. This does end up being pretty fun though. She ends up knocked out in a mech suit, and M3GAN just starts running her body to take people out.
Your neurotransmitters tell me you're highly aroused.
All right, that's enough.
Crazy stuff, but at least on the other side of things, Cole has tracked down Katie, and they end up reprogramming an Amelia bot with the original M3GAN specifications that are still inside Katie, which turns into a little bit of a disaster. She starts getting shocked a ton and just snaps full override into killer mode. Starts killing everyone in the facility while Christian's on a call with the UN. Whatever, lots more scuffling, lots more fighting. They end up catching up with Christian, who sets the building to self-destruct to kill everyone and destroy all the evidence as evil geniuses do. Starts dangling Katie over the ledge. Well, Gemma's just trying to subtly signal that, like, you know a shit ton of martial arts. Lay the man out, Katie. Just starts rattling off a bunch of Steven Seagal movies before just flat out having to say, Jesus Christ, Katie, Steven Seagal. Bing, bang, boom, Katie snaps his arm, then M3GAN Amelia turns him into goo, then takes his arm to unlock the black box, and she's now back in full Amelia mode, but completely autonomous now. M3GAN stays behind to deal with Amelia, trying to explain that the black box isn't any more family to her, she's not anything like them. But they do still manage to open it, which stops the self-destruct, but Amelia then takes in all that info, goes full god mode, like the full glowing eyes and everything, before M3GAN decides to blow herself up to stop it from happening. She knew that Gemma had installed that EMP bomb inside her, and that's all it would take to end everything, just totally destroy the data and programming inside both of them. Katie and Gemma do go back for M3GAN while all this is happening, and M3GAN has a nice little moment where she says she's actually doing this not because she has to, not to save Katie, but because it's right. Ooh, AI has a conscience now! But yeah, M3GAN, Amelia, and the technological horrors of the box are now gone, and the movie takes a quick little detour into the world of needing more laws around tech, and that we all have the ability to change our minds about AI. Which, like, fuck off with that a little bit. I get the idea of having to co-evolve with tech, but like, come on. Basically saying that the response to the dangers of AI is taking more time to nurture it, be kinder, be better parents to it. How about we start nurturing our kids first? I think they're getting left behind. Basically saying that once they realize they can control everything, if we were nice to the AI, maybe they won't kill us. Goody! Saying that existence doesn't have to be a competition when it kind of fucking does, at least with actual people, because every fucking asshole with ChatGPT subscriptions thinks they can AI their way around humans. It's not us versus the robots, it's us versus the opportunistic dickheads. And of course, it ends with Gemma writing her new findings, even though no one read the last book she wrote, because it was just M3GAN buying all the copies, when Clippy pops up on her screen, and then starts being sassy, because it's M3GAN. Full circle on the paperclip dilemma, we love it. So yeah, of course that bitch ain't dead, and we're getting a third movie, though I think the third movie is a spin-off called Soulmate, which is obviously just another sex bot movie, so goody. But yeah, that is pretty much M3GAN 2.0, entirely too messy for what it needed to be, even if I think the base plan was pretty solid. Like, yeah, of course there'd be more robots popping up and people trying to use them for nefarious means. I think they just could have had a little bit more fun with it. In the end, I just think they made this a lot harder on themselves than they needed to, and they just really planned to get by with enough snappy one-liners and callbacks. And in a lot of cases, that really does work and make the experience very fun as a whole. It just unfortunately hits a point where you really start to feel the slog of the runtime, which is always unfortunate, especially when you realize, like, this is so messy for no reason. You could easily shave 20 minutes off this. But yeah, that's M3GAN 2.0, M3GAN, whatever you want to call it. Let me know what you guys are thinking down below. I'd say this is kind of disappointing, but I really was just expecting a fun movie, and in a lot of ways, that's exactly what I got. I just couldn't capture the same magic as the original. But thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. All my other social medias are listed down below. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.